All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, November 7th. Just 3 NBA games to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like in the game as well. But guys, we're switching up the final play process a little bit today. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. All the information will be down there. But our final plays are going to be on the Guy Boston Sports website today. Still completely free. You guys, you'll just have to go check that out to be able to see the final plays and whatnot. Literally, it's just a normal website, so do not fear. We're not switching up that much, but as we still got some stuff going on, if you don't know, this is our second channel. We got some obstacles with the first channel and whatnot. I don't want to get into too much here. I am tweeting about it over on X, so I'm Xing about it at FGuyBoston if you want to follow me, but just know that we're trying to keep as much control in the building as we can, so we're going to be using our website for the final plays and what would be the pinned comment. So keep an eye on that, guys. Again, completely free with all the final plays and whatnot, but everything we talk about here in this video, I do like, and it is what I'm leaning towards and in what I predict and that type of thing, but what I'm actually rolling with myself, those will be the final plays. So make sure to keep an eye on that. In terms of yesterday, we do have a nice first night here on the new channel. We have Al Horford over 2.5 assists. Evan Mobley, we did ladder 14.5, 15.5. I think we doubled down. No, it was supposed to be 17.5. That still says 15.5. But either way, he didn't get there anyways. To me, that was still a good look. He fouled out at the end of the game, but this is not the coulda, shoulda, woulda industry, right? But then we cashed Grizzlies money line, Suns team total, and Raptors team total for a 5-2 night number 1 here on the new channel. That close to a 7-0, but like I said, you can't say that close. That don't count in sports betting here. Because we had such a flooding of support and whatnot, it was a crazy day yesterday. We didn't pick a ride of the day, but let's go ahead and drop those ride of the days in the comments today. I'll jump on board with one person's play, give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. I'll also shout you out over on X at FGuyBoston. So yeah, unfortunately, yesterday was so great. And obviously it's a kind of a somber overall, but yesterday was so great in the support and the flooding of support that we got that we just didn't really get to a ride of the day. It was super busy. I was running around, but I did want to say thank you guys so much for yesterday. We hit over 2,000 subscribers in just one day, and obviously that's nothing compared to our 100,000 subscriber by the numbers, but the amount of support that we felt and got, like, me and the guys are super proud and thankful to you guys. So thank you guys very much. Hit that like button and subscribe today, and also get your favorite plays with the hashtag ride of the day in the comments. But let's go ahead and dive into this slate here. Again, keep an eye on the pinned comment. All the information about seeing the final plays will be there. Hopefully you guys understand we're trying to take as much control here as we can, so we can be a little bit, I guess, safer in a sense. But anyways, Milwaukee taking on Utah. Right now, Milwaukee 9-point favorites. Total sitting at 230. Milwaukee isn't exactly having the best of seasons. They won, what was it, night number 1 against Philadelphia, and then they've gone loss. Now, Giannis is listed as questionable. He didn't play in that last game against Cleveland, and they did cover. They were 8.5-point dogs. They ended up only losing the game by 2, but nonetheless, I still don't know how much I like Milwaukee laying this big number, so I'm probably going to stick away from the side here. If anything, yeah, maybe I look at Utah plus the points, but Utah's got a big injury to note as well, and that is Lauri Markkanen, who's obviously one of, if not their best player, so not exactly sure if he's going to play. I think he's missed a couple games. Then Jordan Clarkson also is a game time decision, and they both didn't play in their last game. So 2 big pieces on their side. I still do believe that, that's a huge point delay, but I almost feel like it's a net win in and of itself to kind of stick away from Milwaukee laying that big number. So I would, by default, look at Utah, but not exactly my favorite spot here. I don't think either defense is all that great. Neither offense is all that great. Milwaukee probably has the better of both, but it's not competing with much. In terms of the total here, I don't mind to look at the under. Like I just mentioned, I don't think that either offense is all that tremendous, and if Giannis doesn't play, that's just gonna roll right into what I would assume would be a Damian Lillard show. He had 35 or 36 in Giannis's absence last game. That doesn't sort of promote a super high scoring game if it's just the Dame show versus everyone else. Like we saw that in Portland for years, right? So I think I'll look at an under here. That 230 seems a little bit too high. I'd probably look at that until it's at like 226 or so. So a decent margin in terms of where I have this one versus the line. So obviously keep an eye on the final plays for that one, because if anything in this game is to be a final play, it's probably the under. Don't really love many player props in this spot. One spot that I would look at I guess, and I say I guess because I'm not all that sure, would be Colin Sexton or Keontae George. The Gary Trent Jr. and Damian Lillard backcourt has not really been all that tough against point guards so far this year. Last in points allowed, third to last in terms of 3-pointers allowed. So yeah, I could see Keontae George or even Colin Sexton, playing pretty well in the backcourt given the matchup. So that's where I'd look in terms of points or 3-pointers made, but this ain't the best game overall, I don't think. We don't have the best of slate today, but you know what? We're still rocking with it. Real quick, guys, I do want to let you know that we do have the Ravens and Bengals Thursday Night Football video live as well here on the More Guy Boston Sports channel, so make sure to go ahead and check that out. It's right here on this channel. Let me know your favorite plays in the comments of that one and everything as well. I really think it's going to be a good game, and we break it down what I would consider in a decent fashion, if I do say so myself. So go ahead and check out the Bengals and Ravens Thursday Night Football video for tonight. But let's go ahead and dive back into this NBA slate here. 2 games to go. All right, we got Chicago taking on Minnesota. Chicago at home here. They're getting 8 points. That total is at 227. In terms of this one, I think I'm looking at another big number with the dog. You have the home team, and I just don't mind the spot for those plus 8 points. Now, do I think Minnesota wins the game? I would say most likely, but this Minnesota team is 1-2 so far on the road. Now, they haven't had the easiest of road schedules, but it hasn't been all that tough either. Lakers, Kings, and Spurs. So it's not like they're playing nobodies, but they're not playing like the best team. So I still kind of put Chicago in the mix with those teams, maybe. Chicago, though, on the other side is 1-2 at home, so, I might be speaking out both sides of my mouth, but they're coming off of 3 straight losses. Brooklyn, Utah, and Dallas. This team is due for a win. Minnesota's coming off of a stomping of Charlotte, just at home here after a day off. I don't really see a world in which, Minnesota runs away with it. That being said, I think what I would prefer in this is probably to take a peek at the total. In this one, 227 seems a little bit too low, and there's a couple spots here where we know that Minnesota, so first off, we know that Minnesota should be able to go and score, right? They've been very offensively efficient this year. They don't rank that too high in terms of points per game, but that's due to the fact that they're not playing as fast. They're ranked 23rd in terms of pace. Chicago is number 1, though, but I truly do believe if Chicago ups the tempo and they are at home, Minnesota still should get some easy and good buckets, given that they have a good team. So I do feel like their team total may be a look, but I like the overall because Chicago, 1, should play fast, and 2, Minnesota has not defended the rim all that well so far this year, and Chicago ranks 10th in terms of restricted area field goal attempts per game so far throughout this year. So I do think that Chicago is going to get some easy bucks to keep pushing this one up and up and up. So with that being said, it's also a player prop spot in which I'd probably take a little peek over here at Big Vooch. 16.5 points seems like it's a little bit too low. You could see last 2 games against the T-Wolves, 24 and 19. That was in 42 and 33 minutes played. So far this year, just 1 game in which he has not hit that, and that was when he was sitting here with just 25 minutes. Was he in foul trouble? Not really. So, he just did not play many minutes in that game, right? But if he does play 30-plus minutes, let's say 32 minutes, this is looking at last year, right? If we do go and say, okay, well, he's going to play 32-plus minutes, 68% of those games, he did end up scoring at least 17 points. And so I like the spot for Big Vooch today. I know it's kind of like, oh, but go Bears down there and whatnot, but we have not seen the greatest of rim protection so far from the T-Wolves this year. And if Vooch can get his, I do think the Bulls score a decent amount of points. I think that then over is also in play in this spot. Real quick, guys, I wanted to add this in after the fact as we're going through it. Chicago, I didn't mention Chicago playing last night. I think that probably helps the over in my case because they play fast, but now their defense is going to be even worse than what it has been. So just FYI, making that clear, it still does not change how I feel about that game or I guess even Vucevic. But overall, didn't mention that, and I figured I would, instead of just missing it, mention it here after the fact as we're going through it. All right, last game of the slate. If you guys made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment 8. Let me know that you made it to the end, and I truly do appreciate it. I know it sounds sappy, and I keep talking about it, but new channel, same old us, and I do appreciate the support. So go ahead and comment 8 if you made it this far in the video. We got the Spurs taking on the Blazers here. So Spurs at home, -4 right now is the spread. Totals at 217.5. Spurs coming in off of a stomping by the Rockets last night. We almost looked at the Rockets too, just couldn't get there, but they ended up taking the dub. The Rockets ended up taking the dubs. San Antonio catches a fat L. In terms of Portland, coming off of a win a few nights ago against New Orleans, they've played the Pelicans already 3 times this season, so it's kind of crazy. But nonetheless, where do we land on this one? I think I do look at the Spurs minus the points. I think that they just, both of these teams, first off, where I started my research on this one is where do these two teams like to shoot from? And both teams are amongst the top teams in the entire league of choosing to shoot at the rim. That being said, both teams are phenomenal, and I don't use that word lightly, phenomenal at preventing points as you get closer to the hoop. In terms of points per game allowed, the Spurs number 1 in the league, and then points per game allowed for Portland number 3 in the league. San Antonio at the rim, which is where Portland ranks 2nd for their attempts per game, is allowing just 59% though. So I think that that's kind of what puts it over the top, in my opinion. Like, this is a Spurs team that is just a little bit better defensive as we get in there. Don't get me wrong, Portland's very good at it as well, but 4.5 points just doesn't seem like it's enough to give Portland in this spot, unless you want to value the back-to-back. That I totally get, but not me. I'm going to look at the Spurs here minus the points. In terms of the total, I wish this thing was up near 220 because I do think both teams are going to have a tough time scoring in their preferred spot, overall. But like even this, like Portland, right? Barely shoots any above the break threes. I think they're like the 3rd fewest in the entire league per game. San Antonio, that's where they struggle. San Antonio's been allowing points from the 3. So it's like, even that, it's like, well, if you resort to something you don't do very often and not do very well, it's going to be tough for Portland to score, right? And I think San Antonio will still struggle as well. So I think I'm going to look at the under, but boy, oh boy, do I wish this was up at like 220 because I think that those points could matter. But give me the under 217.5. And then from a player prop perspective, I want to look at, potentially Wemby and DeAndre Ayton unders, but I don't necessarily love the line. Like, DeAndre Ayton's line right now is 14. He's hit that in 4 of his last 6 games, 3 of his last 5 games. Head-to-head, last time he played the Spurs back towards the end of last year, right? He had, I think it was like 22 or something like that, so doesn't look all that great. Wembanyama, similar sort of story. I don't know if 23.5 is like, it just seems like it's a good, sharp line for him, so I don't necessarily want to tamper with it. But I did consider both of those guys in their unders just due to the fact that, obviously, both teams should play well around the rim defensively. But keep an eye on the final plays, guys, and the good thing about taking it over to the Guy Boston Sports website is that I'll be able to give a little bit of context to added final plays and whatnot, not just in the pinned comments. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully that's going to be a good little situation for us here. But, guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Again, make sure you did comment 8 if you made it that far into the video. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. The support was killer yesterday, and I really do just thank you guys so much as we kind of face this I don't even know what to call it, this obstacle. So I appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.